prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, as we come together this morning, we want to pray for both our employees and families of our employees and those in our community who have been affected by COVID. More importantly, Lord, we want to pray for Lyndall Groves this morning. We were made aware that he's not doing too good, so we want you to put your healing hands on him and give the strength that his lungs need to get past and get over this COVID. We want to pray for an employee's spouse, Kathy Henson, as she has been battling with her lung issues. Lord, we just want to reach out to those in our community and pray upon them that they too, we have so many that are affected by this and many other things, not just COVID, but we just want to pray as a community for our community members in your name. Lord, we also want to pray for those veterans who have served, the families who have suffered from those who gave the ultimate sacrifice, and those who have been severely wounded with scars from the current war that we have been fighting. We just ask that you give them peace, and we pray for them. And more importantly, Lord, we pray for the people in Afghanistan as we have watched over the news over the past few days, and we just pray that our hearts are for them as we transition through this terrible time in our society. In your name, Lord, we pray. Amen.
Benton Police Department's been hit hard too, so everybody remember them.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning, sir. We'll go ahead and start with Leonard Hart, Morris County Veterans Support Group. Good morning, sir.
Thank you, Judge Neal. For those out here that don't know me, I'm Leonard Hart. I'm the coordinator for the Marshall County Veterans Van. You'll see pictures up here. This is our new van all decorated up. We are proud of it. It's got the 6 military branches. We have added the new Space Force. A lot of Air Force people don't like that because they feel they ought to be somewhere else out in space, but we did it. This is the passenger side of it, the front side a while ago. Then the back of it lists all 6 or all 5 branches. We've got the VFW, American Legion, DAV, Purple Heart, and POWMIA. It's all sponsoring this van. It's not sponsored by one individual group. There's 5 groups that does this, and of course you see on the bottom, Marshall County's Veterans Van. In the month of July, we made 17 trips to Mayfield, Paducah, Marion, to local hospitals in the area, Western Baptist and Lourdes. We made trips to each one of them too. This week, we're making a trip to Vanderbilt Thursday. But in August already, I have 19 trips lined up. And this is only the 17th of the month, so you can see the last 2 months we have been busy. I have 10 drivers, and everybody has been gracious about being able to go on everything. So we are proud of this van, and we thank everybody that donated, private sector and everybody that put in on it. I have one thing for the Fiscal Court. I talked to your secretary yesterday. The parking area that we have out at the 911 center, the one spot when the last rain we had about 2 inches of water in that whole spot. Want to know if maybe we can move back to the northwest corner again? Or is there any way we can alleviate that drainage right there in that corner
Where you're currently at?
where we're currently at now?
Yeah, I mean, we can look into it.
Okay. I have a carport bought. The group, the support group has okayed it, and it's going to be a 12 by 20. I can have that cut down to a 10 by 17, so it will take up one parking spot. We've got probably 3 months to decide on that and everything, but the main problem is the water in that corner, either in that corner or move around to the northwest corner where we originally had went to at one time. But any questions for anybody about the van? We take any veteran, as long as he's a veteran and sponsored by the VA too. Any doctor's visit, hospital visits, clinics, or anything.
I just want to say I appreciate you. I called you the other day. I had a veteran needed a
Yeah.
ride to the doctor's appointment.
We
You
got
had
him
him set
taken
up
care
by that afternoon, and so I
He's
appreciate
going-
everything y'all
David
do.
Green's taking him Thursday to Vanderbilt.
I appreciate y'all.
Yeah, I seen that and I thought, who is that? And he called back later. I said, yes. Yesterday, I said,
You probably knew who it was. You probably declined it.
but I have to answer, unless it comes up spam risk
Yeah.
or scam call, I don't answer.
Yeah.
You know, them I don't answer. All the rest of them, I get phone calls. People's got Henderson, Paducah, Southern Illinois, phone numbers and everything. I thought, man, I gotta answer every phone call.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you never know who's calling for what. But, yeah, I got him taken care of.
I appreciate y'all.
Any other questions? You ain't gonna ask me nothing?
I'm not gonna put you on the spot. I'll talk to you at church. How about that?
Any others? And if anybody needs a ride, you can call me. I've got cards if you need one. We've got brochures that's being posted all over the county with what we're doing and everything with my phone number on it. So if you ever need a ride to a doctor's visit or something, let me know.
Thank you.
Thank you. I've got 10 dedicated vets. Now, you don't have to be a vet to be in this support group. Anybody who wants to be a driver can be a driver. So there is other departments around the state that's got civilian drivers. So if anybody's interested in joining, let me know. Any other questions? Okay.
All right, thank you, Leonard.
Thank you.
Thanks, Leonard.
All right, we'll go to item B, Roger Ford. Good morning, sir.
Morning, everyone. I was just here, we went over our policy procedure book and had just a few sentences to change, a couple typos to change. The judge has reviewed it and also the county attorney, so I'm just here to get the policy procedure approved.
Yeah, we went through it, and it's based off of his operational standards. It's fine. So he just needs approval from
Move
the
we
court.
approve.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Roger.
Roger.
All right, item C, Chad McCann, Rivercrest. Good morning, sir. We're going to talk about several things, but
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'll start with some updates on current projects. I think that'll go quicker and maybe some more questions with some of the other projects that we'll talk about. Just very quick on the sewer expansion project there in Draftonville. As you can see, a lot of dirt's turned over and it's moving very good at this point. I think they're finishing Should finish, if not tomorrow, probably the next day, with the last bore underneath US Highway 68 over there by Easy Street. That's the last steel and case bore that they're putting in right now. And the Merco contractors are installing the sewer main over there by the maintenance garage now. Probably make the turn tomorrow up towards the new multi-purpose building that's over there with the sewer facilities. So all things are going well. Soils are holding up good, and guys are making a lot of good progress on that. Schedule-wise, speaking with the contractor, looks like they're set to complete the bid scope of work around the end of September. That should be everything tested, lift station on, tested, and pumping over to the treatment plant as of the end of September on that. Is there any questions on the current work that's going on? I know we got a little bit to discuss on a sewer extension in addition to that scope of work.
Have they,
Well-
do they wait until, I just can't remember that, until after you're finished to go to each one of the owners, the landowners, as far as?
Yes, as far as hooking them on, yes, sir. Right now, the lift station is the biggest piece of the puzzle. That has to be operational before that sewer water can go into the pipelines and go down the lift station, because it's got to be pumped across the interstate to get over to the treatment plant. So should be, certainly by the end of September, from what the contractor's telling us, would be about the timeline of when residents can start to hook on and get access to that sewer main. So,
Of course, a pretty decent amount of those folks were at both of our
that's correct. Yeah.
meetings.
And they've
here
been in
Graftonville,
contact with the
too, so
contractor.
I figure surely that
Sure.
they've been in contact throughout this, but.
Yeah, there's some that have wanted to get on already.
Yeah.
Had to slow them down just a little bit and tell them to just be patient with us, and probably another month or two, they'll be able to hook on and be able to move their sewer over off their septic tanks to the sewer system.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
no other questions on that? You want me to talk about the extension over there from Easy Street?
The
Next.
current project, we have an extension, so we would need to approve the extension. We talked about that.
The time extension? Yes, sir. The timeline for the current project actually was up around the end of July, as far as the timeline goes. As everybody's experiencing nowadays with the COVID and material delays and deliveries, some of the materials coming into the project were delayed about a month or so going through the process of getting everything on site. The contractors asked for an extension to the contract time to the end of September for that, and that's part of a change order that we've drafted up and issued to the court, is just to consider a time extension change order for the contractor to finish up the original scope of work on the project. And they've requested to put that to the end of September just to help them out. And the contractor was on site, whenever the contract began. They actually started on the boring work within the first few weeks of the contract, started to get that bore underneath the interstate. But a lot of the PVC and some of the other items associated with the lift station were the ones that were delayed, which caused Merco's timeline to get stretched out and pushed it back a little further in the year than what we had anticipated going in.
So initially, what we had was that change order with the observation and the extension, I guess, the additional fees, I think, for Rivercrest.
Yes.
Right.
There's been a recent revision
Yes.
to the change order and the request for modification. Initially, it was just for the time extension.
Okay.
To extend the contract for the existing, or for the original base scope of work through the end of September. And then recently, as of last week, the district asked us to look and consider adding in an extension off of Easy Street going over towards Elwood Gordon Drive on the north side of Highway 68. I've had several residents here recently ask about sewer access on that line. Actually, the two closest to Easy Street along Highway 68 had requested some information from the district, how they can get hooked up with sewer service. So it sounds like there's a lot of interest there and a lot of movement, and the district asked us to look at that. And that's the second part of this change order and contract modification request, is to complete the design work for that extension between Easy Street and Elwood Gordon Drive a little bit of surveying involved in it, and also construction time, which would extend the contract from the end of September to the end of October, based on what we're being told from MERCO. They're estimating about a month extra to finish that work.
Okay. So the original document, the original letter, that we had was from August 4th. That was that construction extension, right, plus those. So are those
Everything is included in the revision.
built in the revision? Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Everything, you can basically just call the first change order contract mod request as being null and void at this point, as everything's included in the second letter.
Okay.
Included in that scope of work for the extension, some additional surveying is required through there, and also some additional easements will need to be secured from those property owners to get from Easy Street over there to Elwood Gordon. We initially had some discussions with the property owners, like I mentioned. They're wanting to get on, so we don't envision any issues there securing those easements. And then the other ones closest to the Elwood Gordon are owned by a similar individual who's expressed his interest at our public meetings, that he is, interested in the sewers, getting over those properties as well. So that should flow very well, go in that direction.
So do you want to discuss item 1 and vote on it and then go to number 2, or should we consider it all as one, or what?
We can discuss all of it because it's obviously tied together.
Okay.
The contingency dollars, there were contingency dollars built into this project. And if you see the total of the project in the engineering, scope of engineering, that $79,293 would be those contingency dollars.
Okay. So question for you then on this. I don't have an issue with the construction extension whatsoever, but this is kind of first look at this new document. So I'm trying to take myself back to when we've had those public meetings and when we made the decision on exactly what to do and all that kind of stuff. So if we do this, if we approve the extension from Easy Street to Elmwood Gordon, would it go, so does it stop at Elmwood Gordon, or does it go all the way to that other where we crossed?
It wouldn't go that far.
It wouldn't
Elwood
go that-
Gordon's about the top of the hill there, so we've actually got two lines that won't be on that map.
Is it on any of these maps?
No, ma'am.
Okay,
It won't be
sorry.
on that map. We've got two lines that cross Highway 68. One of them is there on the west side of Homer Lucas, and then we've got the other line that crosses the highway right there at Easy Street. So, and Elwood Gordon's kind of the top of the hill in there.
Right,
So-
in here.
Yes, sir.
Elmwood Gordon is here, and then this is the entrance to the park.
Correct.
So it would take in all
anything
that.
west of that existing house right there, anything west of that would flow to the west towards the line we've got coming over at Homer Lucas, and then anything to the east would then flow back to Easy Street.
Okay, is the shaded area, those that would be within whatever that,
Those would certainly,
the ordinance, is that what that shaded area
the
is?
shaded area is what properties would easily flow from a gravity standpoint
Oh.
into that sewer.
Okay.
There's potential for 2 or 3 additional lots going up into Mike Miller Park area that could be served by that gravity sewer extension. We haven't done a full survey to the north there, but there are 2 or 3 lots north of that shaded area which could flow into that sewer as well.
I guess my question is, within the Parkview Estates here, are there any houses currently on septic that would be required under our ordinance to tap on? to
If
this?
they're within 500 feet, then the answer would be yes.
So 500, I couldn't remember. I was trying to figure that.
I haven't measured those from the proposed sewer line, but 500 feet is the line there,
From
from the sewer line itself.
the sewer line itself. So obviously, anybody that is on that lot, I don't know how big those lots. They're probably 150, but no, it's probably not 150 on the road.
I mean, there's 75 to 100 feet maybe, frontage on those. I'm sure they're 1 acre lot minimums out there.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think initially when we were looking at this. Okay, well, let me go back because I didn't remember that piece of what so you're saying that all of the engineering plus the work to do this is within that whatever, 970. Is that right? Yeah, where are the contingency? Where's the,
The summary of the contingency dollars is not in that packet that you.
oh, all right. So, on the change order, that figure's not including.
That
That,
figure
is it?
there is the current contract value of what Merco's working on right now.
Okay,
Yes, sir. That's exclusive of the change order. I've summarized the change order items in that other spreadsheet that you provided in your packet. So the 79 does include the change order numbers, which would be in addition to the change order you got in your hand there.
Wouldn't it be best to vote separately on those two?
Certainly up to y'all. I mean, it's two separate items, so the way we put the modification request together, we broke it up into two separate pieces on there. So it's, we're good. From our standpoint, we're good either way.
Okay. You think it's gonna hit Parkview, where they're gonna be required to tap? You think it's gonna be close enough?
it's hitting Parkview for sure. It runs across the initial, well, yeah, that one lot, that first lot at the corner is Parkview, I think, because the sign is on that.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like this is the CPA, right? That's the CPA.
Yes.
Okay, and then that's that entrance into Parkview, and I'm pretty sure that sign is on that, and then of course all those lots would be on it. I'm just trying to figure, is it gonna wrap into going up? Because we're going from here, 500 feet.
This is a 500-foot line.
Mm-hmm.
So
Oh,
basically turn it on its end. And that-
this?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You can basically turn that sewer extension on its end, and that'll tell you about how far it can go as far as reach.
Okay, yeah, it's probably gonna.
Which lots are you looking at?
Yeah, those are about 110, 110, 80, something like that. And like this first one's 150, next one's 115. So yeah, I mean, we're probably gonna go on to the end possibly of Elmwood, Gordon, where it hits
close, yeah.
Lakeside. So you're probably gonna, you're talking about 1, 2, 3, probably 6 residences, something like that.
Yeah, and that aerial on the map shown there is old. You know, there's a new house that's been
Right,
put up
yeah.
on the left side of
Yep.
it since that
Right.
aerial was taken too.
Yeah.
During our preliminary evaluation, we looked at several alternatives, trying to run that line along the frontage of 68, but due to the existing water main and the proximity from those existing buildings and residences to the road, we just didn't have enough room to run it out there on the right-of-way, or close to the right-of-way of 68. And the way the lay of the land falls, running along that backlot line of those frontage lots was the best way to go from a gravity sewer standpoint to get the most coverage there for the sanitation district.
So the concern is that you're having is that this project is, the 500 feet is going to touch properties? I'm trying to understand.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna, per our ordinance, all of those houses that, to me, looks like it would anyway. All those houses from Elmwood, Gordon until you hit, was that Lakeside, I think, or would be, they'd fall within that ordinance and be required to tap onto sewer. I guess a couple of things that just, because I remember that being, it was a concern of mine whenever we had that meeting.
Well, part of this, and Jason, you may be able to speak better to it than me, that's where the properties have access to the sewers, correct? So in this instance, those properties to the north, they don't necessarily have access to the sewer. The sewer's not running along their property. They would have to cross other private properties to even get to the public sewer system. So that
Yeah.
would, that would not.
I think
that
if there's a
would-
property in between, I don't think that would require them to.
Yeah, that was my understanding. That's why I was asking the question. If the property owners to the north would have to cross somebody else's property to get to the public sewer, then that would disqualify that 500-foot requirement. It's more along the lines of, you have a deep property, if the sewer's running adjacent to that property, along their property line or along the right-of-way in front of their property line, at that point, it's my understanding they're required to tie on.
And there is some built-in discretion there too. So I mean, if there's a circumstance where it's unreasonable for somebody to have to tap on.
You can look at just the distance. If you go 500 feet and you apply the cost, I mean, the cost alone is I think, unrealistic on this scenario. I do remember when we had our meetings, not just the concern of gravity, but the vacant lots. I remember us talking that those lots could, based off the gravity flow, tie on. But these additional lots that we're talking about, there's a lot that has to take place, I think, to tap on for those residents. And that's, I know when this was discussed and brought to me, there was no discussion or intent to have them tap on, because that's, from an engineering standpoint and a cost standpoint, we're not even there.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that that's the case, because, I mean, I do think it's, so if you're going to go into that neighborhood and require anybody to do, I mean, it needs to cover the whole,
Yeah. From an
I mean,
elevation
when
standpoint,
you don't need the first 5 houses on sewer and then the rest on septic, to me. I think that we'd be,
Well, if you go
We'd be
back
hurting.
and look at the original projects that were presented to the court, the 1.8 million that actually would take the entire county park could have taken the entire subdivision. But since we didn't take that project, then that's a big undertaking. But in this shaded area here, we do have a failing septic tank that would be put on the district. And to my knowledge, I'm trying to remember the map. I don't know if the 319 funds apply to that. I can't remember where that area
My
on
understanding that
68.
They do not. My understanding,
Okay.
68's the break line there.
Okay.
With that. The shaded area that you see in yellow is basically what we would consider to be served by gravity flow. So those empty lots, the undeveloped lots there within the subdivision, those is what we would consider to be gravity fed. Anything north of that line is what we had considered in previous design work as a low pressure sewer or pressurized type sewer arrangement. Basically everything falls from that yellow line north towards the existing lakes and drains basins around the park area. So I'll call it a non-conventional type of sewer system if it were developed to the north of that yellow line with pressure sewers as opposed to gravity sewer, which is a totally separate project. It would be, again, running full through the park area, when that decision and time's made.
Yeah, and I'm confident that that's your concerns. That's not part of this project. There's a lot in between for something like that to happen that we're not even there yet. That's not something that's being discussed.
All right, so when you said this was in the contingency dollars, are we saying then that this figure in what we had counted already out of the bond? Or no? Would this be?
The contingency of this entire project is bond monies. And so the contingency dollars are bond dollars that are put into this project.
Okay. So this would come from the bond money that we had already
I think your
put
question,
towards this.
since you're looking at me, is
Yes.
is it in the original amount we said we were gonna was the contingency
Yes.
built into that? And I would have to go back and look. I don't know if you remember off the top of your head.
The original project amount was what, just shy of $1 million. Is that in this
Yeah.
particular project? That project had the 80,000 in contingency dollars.
That's correct.
But, okay, am I crazy here? I thought we just said though that the 997 did not include this 79.
That's correct.
Right.
We're
So-
going back,
What's he
the
arguing?
original budgets that were put together for the project had contingency dollars built into those numbers.
Okay.
Which takes it in excess of $1 million.
Okay.
There's over $1 million in the, in quotes, budget of the bond monies for the original project that was bid, plus the contingencies to cover unknowns
Okay.
on that job, which took it over $1 million. I don't have that exact number with me, Eric. I apologize for not bringing it.
I'd have to look.
We can get you the exact dollars.
Well, I just want to know that that's already figured, if that was in the contingencies and was already figured into that bond money that we set aside for that project.
Well,
You know.
the original bond monies was 1.8 million. That was, if you go back to the original projects, the biggest project of all the projects that were laid out for sewer was over 1.8 million. But we didn't go with that. We went with this project that was originally budgeted at,
Right.
what was it? 997.
Yeah, but we took those, you're right, yes, I know that, but I'm saying, we took those other dollars, did we not, and use that towards the water?
We took a little over 700,000 and used for water projects, yes.
I'd have to go back and pull everything if you
Are
want
you-
exact dollars
Are
on
you wanting
everything.
exact dollar amounts on the?
Well,
And I can try to get
just-
that for you for the
I'm-
next
I'm
meeting.
trying to figure out, because we had about, still probably, maybe a couple,
Couple of hundred
I
thousand.
thought we
That's what my
were-
brain is thinking. I feel like we were like
Based
200,
on-
maybe 300, that we had not committed
Yeah.
yet. But
I
I don't want to
just-
say that for sure because I don't remember just
And-
based off of my memory.
And so that's my concern is voting on this today without knowing for sure that, because I'm not getting that.
Right. I can go back and pull everything for you for the next meeting.
Can this wait until the next meeting? What's this gonna do?
Well,
to
now, the
construction?
extension,
The contract time extension probably needs to happen.
Yeah.
But as far as the extension over to Elwood Gordon, contract's gonna be working on the original scope of work through what their estimate is end of September. So
Okay.
There's a little time there.
Okay,
If they get the
Well-
material sooner, of course, they could start on it, but right
Yeah.
now, that's what their schedule is.
I can get that ready for you for the next meeting. if That's what you.
I'm comfortable with the extension. You know, and I've been supportive of the Graftonville West sewer project as well. I just want to know that is, those bond monies are allotted, and I don't want, you know,
if the, let's just say the bond monies are not there, then where does this put this project?
yeah. I don't know.
Let's go with the extension for Merco. That way we can at least get that. I don't think there's an issue on that. Is there any discussion on the extension?
But it would need to include his original proposed fee, correct? Which is from the
I can-
August the 4th letter. Can you, because you
We can
can't,
do that, or we can just pretty simply, the numbers on that second page of that contract modification, if you just take the last three numbers and divide those by 2, that would be the number that we're talking about. Dylan? so
well, now
basically-
you here's that one from August the 4th. What crap is that? This number here. $8,800. Okay. All right, I move we approve the, is it 2-month or 3-month construction?
Be a 2-month contract time extension.
2 month.
To the end of September.
2-month extension with the total proposed fee to Rivercrest of $8,800.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries. How soon, Chad, do you need we can get those figures today. How soon do we need to? We got time to wait till, I mean, I know ordering material and stuff, has put us on this time extension, but,
Sure. In talking with Merco, I don't think the PVC pipe is an issue. You know, it sounds like they can get access, they've got access to that additional 8-inch PVC pipe to get over there. The manholes only take about 2 weeks to get on site, so that's not a big deal either for the work. Our surveyor is busy next week, so it's gonna be the following week before we get out there and do our surveying on the job anyway, so.
September the 7th is our next regular meeting. Is that okay?
Okay.
Is that
I don't see it being an issue, you know, sitting here right now. The design's gonna be pretty straightforward from our standpoint. The easements are the biggest piece of the puzzle, and just making sure, again, we've got a lot of positive feedback from the residents right now. So assuming that all goes well, it shouldn't be a long, drawn-out process to get clearance for construction.
Yeah, I'd say you're only looking at
That'll be-
4, because I'm gonna guess the owner of the corner lot owns the one, Waldrop owns both
The one
those.
behind it
Yeah.
and the one at Elwood Gordon, so, yeah.
Yeah, so we're just talking about these 3.
I
Well,
mean,
you
it'll
got-
take me a
yeah,
little bit.
Waldrop plus those
to have
other
everything
3.
somehow
Waldrop,
together.
chiropractor, and then the 2 houses.
And it's spread out over fiscal years, because we've not been doing it. What's today? Today's Tuesday. I could probably get it done by tomorrow afternoon.
yeah, because we're looking at 3 weeks for our next court meeting. And with a 2-month extension, not even considering potential weather shortfalls, or it might be something where we can meet specifically to, 'cause she can get these numbers to us. And I'm not concerned about the bond dollars to cover this, but I think the fact that we've got a 2-month extension due to the current atmosphere, waiting 3 weeks to meet again, we might have to meet. I would encourage us to meet before then, so that the contractor can, if it's approved, the contractor can order, what they need to order in a timely manner.
Well, how
But
long would it take you to get the information for,
I can probably have it for y'all done by the end of the day tomorrow.
we can call a special meeting, can't we?
Yeah.
Let's do that.
All right. I'm trying to think while we're here, what's everybody's schedule this week? Save an email.
I can come back if I need to also. It's not a problem. If anybody has any questions on that.
I can Thursday afternoon, Friday afternoon.
Thursday or Friday.
Next week. Figure Friday.
What about this Thursday?
anytime before next Friday.
So this Thursday,
Thursday afternoon?
what about 2 o'clock? This Thursday? Okay. So we'll have a special call meeting this Thursday at 2.
Will you all need me for that, or just if I get you the information
Just get
beforehand,
us
are
the
you okay?
numbers,
Okay.
yeah.
Anybody come stand over your shoulder until you get it done?
Sure, you wanna come do it?
Okay.
Pressure.
Okay. The other items, give us an
Water
update
projects?
on the water projects. I know
Yes,
the
sir.
court had discussed with the monies that are going to be coming to the county, supporting water projects. And so I've asked Chad to, just to give an update. I know we've met, talked about getting some more information on these projects. So if you can just
Sure.
share with the court from an engineering standpoint on these projects.
All right. I do have some maps we'll show on the TV screen back here. What we're asked to do is look at some water expansion projects in the county. to get water access to currently unserved residents in the county area. So we've got 3 areas that we've looked at. Calvert City area on the west of Calvert City along Highway 62, along PB Cloud Road and Mulberry Lane. Those are a couple we'll talk about. Looking at the Oak Level system west of Benton, and then also the Hardin area. There's a couple sections over there along Hunter Road and Walnut Church Grove Road where residents that don't currently have access to water have expressed interest in getting access to that water. And so we've looked at those 3 different areas and put together some projects for consideration. The projects in the Benton area, the Oak Level area, and the Calvert City area, those projects were submitted during KIA's drive for new water extensions to unserved customers. So those projects have been sent to Frankfort for consideration of potential funding through that grant source. The Hardin area projects are fairly new. They were not submitted as part of that effort, but Rivercrest has looked at those 3 different areas and put together some project estimates for the extensions and for the improvements to getting access to the water and to the county residents in those areas. The map that you have there, that's showing the PB Cloud Road area west of Calvert City. It's a pretty straightforward project. The city has water access along Highway 62 through that corridor. So this project would extend water service along that red line that you see there to interconnect 2 existing water mains to the north and south of PB Cloud Road and get access to water to customers or residents in that area. The Mulberry Lane project is just to the south of that area. The city's got some residents there, actually just to the east of where the red line is on PB Cloud Road. So there'd be some water extensions and actually interconnect through there to strengthen their water system. There's currently an existing 2- and 4-inch line there that wouldn't be suitable for fire protection in that area or good water service for that matter. So those 2 projects are kind of tied together to increase water access, availability, and service there west of Calvert City.
Controlling the TV.
Yeah, that's all right.
Who
Erica,
is?
can you flip over to the next map?
Sorry.
please?
Okay, which one would you like
Will
to
you
see?
put on Hunter Road and Walnut Grove?
Sure, I surely will. Let me,
Do you know, or do we know, we don't know anything further as far as KIA, as far as their approval?
I contacted
Do we know
KIA
when?
yesterday. I
Oh,
heard
okay.
back from the director yesterday. She said that they're still working through all the projects they have. They have almost 500 projects that they're
Yeah.
sifting through for funding on that funding source. She did say that Marshall County is still very much in consideration at this time, but she just asked for everyone's patience.
I bet she doesn't say that to everybody.
She
Right.
might.
She made him feel good.
Marshall County is
I think it was over $1 billion.
Yeah.
for 250, right?
Yeah, there's
For
not $1 billion.
250.
Well, I mean, if the government still keeps printing money.
Hey, I would, I mean, a
Like they
quarter
are
of a
right there, but-
$500,000 project is still
It's a lot of
real
money.
money.
Mhm.
So we,
A lot of money.
whatever they can send, Director of KIA, if you're watching.
I'm having a
It
hard
won't let
time
me
getting my
zoom
bearings about
in this presentation mode.
The
So let me
project
get out
map
of
that you're
that.
looking at there, Justin, you got Highway 641's on the bottom of the map, and then that's Walnut Church Grove at the top of the map.
Now, is Gaslight Lane and Glade Road included on this?
Right now, the way this project stands, I've had discussions with the judge, and he's gotten some information from existing residents in the area. They sent him some photos, and he shared those with me.
Yeah.
Folks that want access to water back over there on the east side of the project area, Gaslight Lane, Glade Road, and those areas. So we've looked at those areas. And I've also talked with the city, the mayor over there, Mayor Scott, and he's got some residents on the west side of Hunter Road. And so I'm actually meeting with Eddie Washam tomorrow, and we're going to drive the project area to solidify the areas that they want to look at for water access. The numbers that they gave to us initially were just looking at the west side
Yeah.
of the project area closest to Old 641.
Okay.
The project area to the east along Glade Road, Gaslight Lane, in that area, that was not included in the original numbers that they
Okay.
presented. So we've got some preliminary estimates put together to the east and to the west, but really need to have another meeting with the city folks to combine those two efforts together.
Okay, what's the difference in the color of lines?
These are just existing lines that you're looking at here. So this is based on
Blue.
publicly available mapping that we have. This is the existing 6-inch water main run down on 641 to Hardin. There's a little 4-inch line here and a little 2-inch line here. In talking with the city, the infrastructure here is weak. I understand they've got a lot of issues with that existing water. So this initially, this house here on the other side of the creek, and this area was the city's original focus for this Hunter Road project. But after further discussions with the judge and some of the residents and the information they supplied, if you could scroll back up to the top of the map, there's a lot of residents, keep on going. There's a lot of residents in this area here. The city extended a water main along Church Grove Road to 2 new houses right along here a couple of years ago, about a year ago, I guess. But now there's a lot of folks in this area along Glade Road, Gaslight Lane, and then in this area here that are asking for water at this time. So the project scope and scale has grown a little bit since the city initially put together estimates, and that's why we're trying to nail that down. This is where the city of Benton's water system stops, and this is where the city of Hardin water system stops. So it's almost an interconnect project between the two systems to serve these residents that are just kind of in no man's land, so to speak, between the ends of the two systems.
You know the distance between them.
Whenever I don't know this exact distance here, whenever we looked at coming up Glade, there's a house here on Glade Road that's asking for water. So the total distance along here in this section, I want to say it was a little over 3,000 feet of water main. It was going to be included in this area. And the city was looking at another 500 feet or so on the west side of Hunter Road going back towards on 641. So it could potentially be, almost a 4,000 foot water main along that section there. But there's several existing residents, especially in this area, that have asked for water service. Basically all the houses, properties you see, and this is again an old area. I think almost all of those folks in that area have expressed interest in getting access to water.
Probably cut half of it there, though, because I saw. Oh, you don't even know the Belton line? I just there.
So out of I guess the summary there, there's approximately $600,000 as the estimated cost for the Calvert City water improvements over there. Depending on the way this goes, there could be almost $750,000 worth of work here in the Hardin area for these projects to get water access to existing unserved residents in that area. Could be. Appreciate it, Jack.
Flip up those bubble.
Sure.
Chad, just in case, can you just go over that real quick, what you just talked about, so that folks can hear? I don't know if they heard.
Okay, yeah. As far as just kind of backing up to the focus here in these efforts, as part of the KIA's effort and the government's effort to get water to unserved customers, the county is focused on that as well. A lot of folks in the county that don't have access to public drinking water right now. And in all 3 of these systems that we're looking at, whether it's the City of Benton's water system, Hardin water system, and Calvert's water system, they've also expressed interest to get water to residents in those areas. And my understanding, the county is focused in getting that effort spread out, to residents in the county. So these 3 areas that we've looked at, being the Hardin area, the Calvert City area, and the West Benton, Oak Level area, those are 3 areas that have a lot of need. The residents in the area have expressed a lot of interest in getting access to public water, whether it's due to a failing well system or just wanting that access, so they've got a level of service there that they can rely on. So Rivercrest has spent the last few months, actually going back to 2018 when we started looking at these projects in the West Marshall area, of getting access, residents access to water off that existing water tower out there in Oak Level area as well. I know Jonathan Creek's done a lot of this work over the years. You've been a big part of that, Justin, getting residents in that area off the tank over there in the Jonathan area. So this goes right in line with a lot of that work that they've been doing in Jonathan, getting water access to those residents down there as well. So it's kind of expanding and spreading that focus of the county's efforts over the last several years to get water to those residents in the county. So the project and, I'll call it the boundaries, so to speak, of what we've looked at. I know the county asked us to look at approximately a $6 million effort, getting water access to unserved customers in that area. And looking at the numbers, again, these are the preliminary numbers that we've looked at from this level, this scale. There's approximately $700,000 in the Hardin area, and again, that's contingent on my discussions with the city. And then almost $600 in the Calvert City area. And then the largest need appears to be in the Oak Level area, West Marshall area. Years ago, we looked at several projects west of town, both north and south of Oak Level Road, Highway 408, and it was a big effort. I think you guys might have seen those numbers. It was almost $13 million worth of water projects that could be done and planned in that area west of Benton. Within the confines of the budget, we've met with a judge and talked about immediate needs and which could impact the residents the quickest. And so we actually we trimmed that scope of that $13 million project down and focused on the residents north of Highway 408. And this is due to the fact the city of Benton has got a large effort along Simsonia Highway right now to replace that water main that they've got out there. So the city's already looking at replacing about 6 miles of water main, and that's the yellow and blue lines that you see on the left-hand side of the map. That's the new water infrastructure that the city's looking to replace right now. Right here in this corridor along Simsonia Highway, starting here. There's the hospital right there at the top of the map. So coming down along 641 to the county line, that's the city's project that they've got currently under design right now. So the projects that we're looking at are actually to the south of Simsonia Highway and to the north of Highway 408.
Yeah, I think you just said 641, but you
Oh,
didn't.
excuse me, 348.
Okay.
South of 348, north of 408.
Okay, we're going 348 out to Simpson.
348 out to Simsonia. Yes. County line's about in this map.
Okay.
So the projects that we looked at are extending the existing water towers right here on Breezeal, near Breezeal and Arant Road. So it's expanding that water system reach out here. And the yellow lines and the blue lines that you see in this area are the planned water improvements north of Highway 408 in that area. You've got a lot of residents here north of the tank tie back in. Our folks here.
What's the far right yellow
Those
line?
folks on Abraham are in this, folks we've all talked.
Yeah, you got Arant Road
Yes.
that's here, a lot of water improvements here to tie in with the existing system. Breezeal School Road,
Yep.
large corridor, the city's got an existing water main here, and this project would pick up where they left off, interconnect that in there. It would strengthen, yeah, Jackson School Road, back up this way.
So the tower will be tied into 348 and Waysboro Road.
Yes, sir. Probably back to the microphone.
Yeah, if you can, just say what you just said there, but,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of people that honestly want to
Handheld.
know what's going on.
Right now, the existing water tower has got a single line feed along Highway 408 going. There's a single 8-inch line going down Highway 408 to the west that feeds that water tower, which it was put in around 2009 or so when that line was put in. Some residents are tied to that line, but the water tower was never put online. So part of this effort, in addition to extending that water to those unserved residents in that area, is also increasing the level of service to that tank. And by tying the Simsonia Highway line into the tank, that allows for what we call a loop system, or we call it redundant feed, to keep that water out there to that tank. So it keeps the water circulating. It avoids some of the issues with having a water tank where you don't have the customers, and losing water because you don't have the customers out there yet. But by adding these customers, it'll increase the level of service, increase the water turnover, and give those folks some reliability out there. So if one of those lines were to go down along Simsonia Highway or 408 for whatever reason, they would still have water access. They wouldn't be without water. And that's something that Benton suffered from along Simsonia Highway for several years. with that line, and that's why the big focus in replacing that. But this would be a twofold effort here to increase level of service and also increase that access to water to at least 80 residents in that area with these projects, if not more. You know, as development takes off, there's at least 80, I think 79 was the exact number we counted for some existing residents that are right there in that area. But again, with development, I think it could serve many, many more as development goes west of town out there.
Thank you.
So then if you take in, can you tell me off the top of your head, all three of those projects?
The
What
number
they
of
would-
customers,
New, unserved, I guess, whatever you want to.
I'll give you an estimate. I
Okay.
think the Calvert City project number,
No, it's probably not as.
I believe it was 12, I think around 12 to
Yeah.
15 was the Calvert City number.
in there.
And the Hardin project number, it really depends on the scope of that project, but I'm going to estimate there's at least 10 to 15 that I've seen that have raised their hand, probably in that area. So if you get 25 and another 80, so it's over 100 customers.
100 to
Existing
110.
residents. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And I know you broke this down for the court, but I'm just going to read this. This is just the description. The Benton area Oak Level Water System expansion is estimated about $4.8 million. And I've seen those customers that it can pick up. I too, I can't remember off the top of my head, but there's some of them are like 18 on one stretch of road, so that's going to have a huge impact. Calvert City area, PB Cloud Road and Mulberry Lane Water System expansion is estimated at $540,000, but we still haven't heard back on KIA, so there may be some monies.
That's correct. Both those projects in Oak Level and Calvert City could potentially receive some grant funding
Yes.
from KIA. So
Yes.
this budget that we put together is around that $6 million number, but it could get some assistance
Correct.
through KIA, for sure.
The best scenario would be that both of those projects get funded. That way we can expand these dollars even further. The Hardin area, Hunter Road and Walnut Church Grove water extensions is estimated about $650,000.
That should be Walnut Grove, Church Road.
Not Church Grove.
Depending on what map I looked at, the road names changed.
I don't
It
care.
does
I don't
change. You're
care
right.
What the
You're
map
right,
says.
depending on.
It's Walnut Grove.
Huh?
It's Walnut Grove.
I-
No, I just
different
want to
down
say,
there.
you know, these projects right here, I'm excited about. This is something that's been a problem in the county for a long time. And I know folks like to think that all we do is sit up here and bicker and fight and go back and forth. But, you know, we've really all come together to get these projects going. And, you know, it's going to be a big, big thing for Marshall County. Folks have been wanting water for a long time, and we're finally making some headway. We've got a long way to go, but we're getting there. So, very excited about all this.
A lot of these people in the Oak Level area that we were most recently talking about, they have wells that are bad, they're having to buy drinking water. So there's more than one reason there to get them water.
Now, here's something that we also need to think about. Obviously, we know the one fixed number that we know is the numbers that are coming in to the county. These are all approximate numbers. I just want to bring to the court's attention that the single audits, because of these federal dollars, when we have the single audits, anything over $750,000, that's the amount that triggers that single audit. There's a cost, and obviously with the millions of dollars that are coming in, we're going to meet that threshold. And Eric and I were just talking, it can be anywhere between $30,000, $40,000, maybe a little bit more for a single audit. And if you just do over 3 years or 4 years, you're looking at anywhere between $120,000, $160,000 just in expenses for audits on these dollars. So when we look at these projects, you know, and I bring this up because I just want folks to understand, and most folks in these areas do understand that these projects are expensive. And just look at what I just said, the single audits. That's not our regular audit. That's in addition to our regular audits. So that's something that we're going to have to also discuss with these projects. And that's why it is important that, you know, I know there's a lot of projects submitted to KIA, but I hope that the state does a good job at least allocating those dollars, not so much fairly, but to projects that have an impact in our communities across the state. So we'll see. Once they announce, then we'll have a better idea how much
Sure.
monies we got. So I asked Chad to be here just to give this update so that the folks at home know. They obviously know that we support this. The last time we met and made that commitment, but trying to get a little bit more focused in on what we're going to be doing. So.
And KIA has expressed to us that it would not hurt at all for local folks and to reach out to them. Whether it be residents or be on the political level, just for the need, express the need in the area. I've done that from the engineering standpoint. They recommended that I have the PAT office there in Mayfield call, and they've made a call to KIA as well, just to kind of reiterate the need in the Marshall County area. So I'm sure if anyone wanted to reach out to Ms. Williams or her office about these projects,
Well, I'll tell you
wouldn't
what.
hurt at all.
What we'll do is we'll put that out, and folks that are in those areas, you know, we'll encourage them to reach out to the KIA folks
Sure.
to get on that radar because it's very competitive right now.
Yeah. And, like, as
And they
mentioned,
all
they're in-
ask too, when they talk to you, I know you too, but they always want to know what else can I do?
Sure.
You
Yeah.
know? And my comment usually was, I mean, a petition is good, but give that commitment that you're going to tie onto it. They need to understand, we need to understand, I think, if we're putting the money out there, we want you to tie onto it. So it's good to know how many residents are affected and that are going to definitely tie onto that water.
And that's a
I
good
would
point. I
assume
mean, there's
just
already
about all
one
of 'em.
petition that the folks have done
Yeah.
that. They have put their names, their signatures on it to know, and so.
So can you just talk, what kind of time frame would I'm not as concerned about the time frame on number 2 and number 3, but the Oak Level, what kind of time frame would that be?
As far as to get to construction
Yeah, like
on it?
start to, yeah.
It would really depend. There's just shy of 60,000 feet of water main out there in that Oak Level area. So it would depend on how the county wanted to approach it. If they wanted to approach it as one contract, or if they wanted to break it up in individual pieces. It's laid out that way, that it could be let in different projects, or it could be let at one time. Obviously, from a design standpoint, survey standpoint, doing the project all at one time, it takes a little bit longer to get to that point. The environmental, we will have to go through a cursory environmental review like we did on the sewer expansion project in Draftonville a few years ago. There's a little bit of a time component there.
So I guess my
I won't
only,
give
I
you
don't,
an exact timeline. I know there's a stipulation to have the dollars allocated
Yeah.
by 2024 and have the projects built by 2026 is what I've been told.
yeah, so none of
getting to
that's
that
an
point,
issue.
Having the dollars allocated, shouldn't be a big deal. Having the projects designed by that 2024 deadline should not be an issue either. Should be plenty of time to get out there and get that work done.
It's not like we're going to have to wait on this until we get our next tranche of money in next July.
Should, and in talking with
'Cause
KIA,
you're not gonna
I mean, it sounds,
spend all that
well,
money.
I'm not sure of the timelines on the $6 million that you guys are
Well,
looking
it's,
at.
we have half of it now, the other half comes in maybe June of
Oh, yeah,
22.
I mean,
So it's
you'll
not
be
gonna-
waiting on the projects.
You'll
to
be
get
waiting on it
finished,
still.
yeah.
Okay, that's all I'm,
And that's barring easements and those items as well. If we can utilize right-of-ways, it'll make everything flow even faster. Kind of depends
All
on
right.
how it lays out.
Chad, I know it was discussed at one time, the tower, when put in operation at Oak Level, would have to be cleaned and some
Yes, sir.
work done there. I can't remember the cost on that. Is that included in this?
It is. I actually got a
Okay.
revised quote this weekend from the contractor. His number, I put a contingency, I rounded it to 5,000. He gave me a number of 4,250
Oh, okay.
to clean and inspect that tank, to look it over, check all the paint, check all the, bolts and fittings and everything on it to make sure that it's still suitable. And then once that inspection's done, then they would disinfect the tank and basically chlorinate it and make it ready to receive water whenever the county was ready to, county/city was ready to fill it up.
Thank you.
I just want to go back to the notifying KIA.
Yeah.
A lot of us in the community who have water, I think it was shocking to some folks when they found out that there were still people in our community that bring in some up to 30 years. They've never had potable or access to potable water. And so when we're saying reach out to KIA, that means the folks that actually have water as well, to help their neighbor that's in the parts of the county that's underserved. And basically what I'm saying to the folks that are at home going to be watching this is, even if you have water, still reach out to KIA to show support, because there's folks in our community who don't have access to that potable water. So I just want to.
And I've never had, I don't think I've ever talked to a person that has called me on something else like broadband. Could you use this $6 million for broadband? That when I said there are still folks that don't have water, potable water in this county, I don't think I've ever had anybody say, I still want, better internet. I mean, so I would say the majority of our folks out there would be more than willing to do that same thing, contact on behalf of their neighbors that don't have it, because that's a big, I want better internet in my house too, but I have water. So it's real easy for me it's easy for those of us that are on it to not think about it,
Well, sure.
So.
I mean, I know you guys have, but as we've gone out and met folks in the community who don't have it, and you hear the stories about toting in the water and the issues that they have that other folks don't have. Just doing laundry is a major issue. I know I threw in the dryer some type of garment that my wife wears, and it came out shorter. So I got in trouble. So I can just understand how these folks who don't have access to water, and they put in something that they pay a lot of money for, and it turns out dirty or stained or something like that. So, well, I will put that information out so that people can get that and start communicating to KIA.
Good idea.
While we're still on water,
Yeah.
is there an update on Burrs Y and Soldier Creek out there? Do you
I don't have
spoke
an
with
update
David
from
and them? You
David
don't know?
yet. I can tell you that all the projects have been permitted from
Yeah.
that standpoint, division water standpoint. So everything on the Soldier Creek Road, Mayfield Highway, Curd Road, Olive Hamlet Road, all 4 of those projects are designed. District should be out there now getting easements on those lines. So it's just a matter of time before they start. I know they've got all the pipe, or most of the pipe, out there in the county right now, ready to be put in the ground. So I know they're working, moving that direction.
Appreciate you.
All right.
Any
Chad, I
questions?
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you,
If
sir.
you need me to come
Thanks.
back on Thursday, just let me know
Yes.
on the
Yeah.
other meeting. Thank you.
We'll go under correspondence, July personnel changes. July personnel changes, Dylan Bradley, FT Deputy Jailer, effective July 22nd, 21, $13 an hour. Teddy Phelps, Deputy Jailer, effective July 28, 21 at $13 an hour. Michael Edwards, Court Security termed, July 22nd, 21. Randy Knuckles, Sanitation and Economic Development, effective July 1, 21 at $14 an hour. Marlena Kleffler, Dispatch term, July 23rd, 21. Kristen Jones, Dispatch term, July 29, 21. And Jeff Schroeder, Deputy Jailer term, July 31st, 21. Old business, approved the minutes, August 3rd meeting.
Move we approve the minutes.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item B, the road department payroll policy. This was the payroll policy that was put in place years ago. And with the changes to the admin administrative code that should take care of that payroll policy. They were in conflict, so the court, the reason why this is on here is for the court to take action to do away with the payroll policy for the road department. Is there any discussion?
So, in the past admin code, like last admin code, what did we change on this admin code that would do away with that policy?
Well, the road department policy is based off of time. And the admin code is not based off of time.
But was it last year, I guess would be my question.
Yes, it's been, the road department policy has been in place before the admin change. The admin code was changed. So when we had the third party come in and look at a pay scale for the county, the road policy was actually in place prior to that. So it was in conflict with.
You're not saying in 2017, you're saying most recently the attorney that came and, right? Is that what
No.
you're saying? No,
No,
you're saying in
Capstone.
2017.
Yeah, when Capstone came and.
Okay,
and-
Capstone.
Yeah.
Then it was changed then.
No, the road department policy, and we've gone over this, the road department payroll policy is in conflict because it's based off of time. So when you get hired at the road department, as you get hired, you get a set amount, you get 3 months in, you get 6 months in, whatever the time factor is. The admin code, we made, well, what's on the next item C, we set an increase to those scheduled positions. So as we've discussed, the road department policy, the court had my office sit down with Roy and go over it, and Brad, and we did all that. And so the discussion is the road department policy to get rid of it because it's outside the admin code. It's an independent policy.
Right. But I guess what my point is, or question would be, it was not mentioned in the prior admin code though, was it? It didn't, I don't remember the admin code saying anything about his policy, right? It never has. So that motion that was done in 2017 was not reflected in the admin code. It's never been reflected in the admin code.
Correct.
Right, okay. So then how is simply adding a COLA to the current pay schedule removing the road department schedule, I guess is my, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm not talking about the COLA, it's the time. Time is the issue. Nowhere else in the county do we apply an employee that works amount of time that they immediately get a pay increase. And that's where there's been discussion amongst other departments. They question, why does this department get that and the rest of the county does not? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I still don't, I still don't know. I mean, to me, it seems like to get rid of that, if it's not in the admin policy, I don't know how just changing that one section cuts them out, but.
Well, no, the admin code itself doesn't cite time.
Right. But
So
it
there's
never
the
has.
conflict.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the conflict. The question to the court was, when this was brought up, is we've got one agency that uses time as a pay increase. And that's the conflict with the admin code. So when you go back to when was the policy put in place, the policy was put in place before Capstone came in, when we made the overall changes to the admin code.
So what you're saying, okay, so you're saying that in 2017, when Capstone came in and that recommendation was made, that time was already in place at that time?
For the road department?
Yes.
Yes.
But, so so the only change that was made after Capstone, after y'all met, was to enact the, I forget what the change, you know
What
what I
you
mean?
have in the admin code right now is the actual pay scale. So if you come in as an individual employee, and that's what we have looked at, I don't know if you can pull that up, Erica, if you've got access to it, but it shows an entry-level employee, and then there's 4 levels, and it's got the amount set off to the side of it before you get into the supervisor, department head, and the different rankings. All of that is what Capstone, when they came in and evaluated, that's what was put in to the admin code. But that policy, based off of time, was still in place, and it was never looked at. It was in conflict all these years, but it was never looked at until it was brought up from other department heads. Well, why are we doing this over here, but we're not doing this we're doing this as a whole over here? It was a fair question, and it is in conflict with one another, and that's why it was presented to the court. We've discussed this in budget workshops. It comes down to, do we want to keep that policy that basically as you get employed, you don't have to do anything other than be here for X amount of time and you'll get a pay raise? But our admin code, obviously says, here's a pay scale for this level of employee, and to move up on that pay scale, there has to be justification. So, I mean, it is in conflict with what we've put out countywide.
Does this, I guess, question for Roy, does that policy not include pay increase opportunities for obtaining various certifications such as spraying, CDL, bucket, truck
Those are premiums.
works?
Yes, those premiums are in the admin code. Those are in addition to the time. So if you get certified to spray like the road department does out on the side of the road, that premium is added. Now, if that individual employee lets that certification lapse, or they don't want to perform that that job, then that premium is taken away. So that premium is countywide. This basically is, this policy is, if you get hired and you serve based off of time, then you get a pay increase. And that's the issue with our admin code.
Can you point me to the premium so that I can make sure I see what, I don't remember the premium actually being in. So maybe it is. I don't know, it's, that particular section 5, I think, is close to 50.
Are you talking about the entire admin code, or are you talking about the road department?
Well, it would be, I assume it would be in section 5. Is that what we're?
Of the county's admin code?
Yeah.
Let me see if where I can find that at. I know that Brad had that on his stuff, so let me see if I can find it.
So like for an example, an individual to operate at the sanitation district, they have to meet certain required certifications. The county has said if the employee gets the certification, levels 1, 2, or 3, whichever level they get, that additional certification would constitute, the most recent one was like a $2 raise. But if that employee loses that certification, or doesn't want to perform those duties, then that premium, we can't pay somebody for a certification that they do not hold. So those types of increases to one's salary are given and removed based off of the certification that they hold.
Yeah.
But this is, the policy is that was put in place was basically if you get hired, if Monty got hired today, in 3 months, you'd get a pay increase. And that was a legitimate question that was asked of my office is, well, what about the rest of us that don't fall under that same policy? And that's why it was brought to the court. Is that something that the court wants to continue doing when it's not consistent with the practice of what we have set out for the rest of the county?
And so this change would be made today, go in effect for not just new hires, but current employees.
No, it would, the policy, the employees that have been promoted based under that policy has been in effect. So they rate that. It would only affect new hires moving forward. There's no way that we can, I don't even think legally we can do that. But there's no intent to say to those employees, well, we got rid of this policy, we're going to take these monies away. That's not what we're saying here. We're saying that we want to be consistent countywide with how we look at our employees and how we pay our employees. Those that have been increased on their salary under that policy, that's what is in position right now. So that will stand when it comes to their pay.
So the ones that haven't been increased, that are currently employed, it would affect them.
I don't know do you have any? Two? What?
They'll reach their base pay. One will reach their base pay in October, another one in December.
And that's based off of what? How many years served or how much time served? Or so it's a year of service. Yeah.
And one question that I know I'll have asked.
But I'd asked, I know whenever we were talking about the budget, those figures were figured in. Right?
Yes, because they were replacements.
Yeah, because the policy
Was in place.
Yes.
So we based the budget on that happening.
What was
Yes.
the question that you think you'd have?
My question would be is what the men will ask me in a couple of days when they see this. If I have an operator retire, makes X amount of dollars. If they move up to an operator, are we going underneath the policy that they hired in at, or
Well, if the court were to get rid of the policy, then there's no policy that would be in place.
so who would go off of this?
Go off the admin code.
Now is the most that they're gonna make.
Is the operator not a premium, though? It's
Well,
not a premium?
The department heads are to identify what the premiums are. Obviously, if you've got an operator to a regular employee that doesn't have an operator's skills or license, then I would say yes, there is a difference. If you just have someone come in that's not an operator, then they're not going to be paid as an operator. We can't pay you if you don't have the certification or the skills.
Yeah, I get that, but I think that was your question is, will you still receive the operator's premium?
Well, I think the scenario was a retiree that retires, somebody else to be an operator.
Right.
Well, if that person is an operator with the same skills and certification that the retiree that left, then yes. I mean, that would be the intent. You pay a man for what he's worth, but if they don't have the certification or the skills, we can't pay a man if they
Yeah,
don't have the
I-
certification. and
Yeah, I
skills.
didn't say that. That's not what I was, that's what I'm saying.
But I mean, that was a scenario. If your guys ask,
No,
if-
his scenario was if they became an operator, right? Isn't that what you're
If I
asking?
have a operator or somebody with their spraying license retire,
would,
and I move somebody up to that, are we going underneath this new policy? Was there maybe more than this?
well, no, it's the admin code. So if they want to move up to that position and it's the premium is they have to be certified to spray, well, then they got to be certified to spray. If they can't get certified to spray, they're not going to get that premium. I mean, that we can't pay a man who doesn't perform the skills or a woman, we just can't do that.
I don't think I'm saying that. I think what I'm saying and what you're hearing me say are two different things,
No,
maybe.
I'm answering his question. That's, if you've got,
That person would become an operator through,
I
right?
guess the easiest way to say this is that if there are requirements, and those requirements have attached salaries or pay, then you have to meet those requirements. That's the easiest way I can explain it. That we can't pay somebody who does not meet any requirements that has pay or a premium attached to it. That's probably the easiest way to say it. And we encourage everybody. I mean, that's what we want to do in all of our departments. We encourage our employees to meet those requirements so that they can increase their pay. And the reason why is because we get what we need, and the employer, and then the employees get, obviously, a pay increase. If we're paying somebody to spray that requires a certification because they're handling, toxic chemicals, if they don't have that certification, then the employer, as an employer, we can't pay them.
I think we both agree on that.
Yes.
So did I understand you right, the person, if you had someone retire, and an existing employee would be filling that position, under the change, that position would be paying less than it's currently paying? Because it'll go with the current admin code opposed to the current
Well,
road department.
it could be a new employee who's an operator. I mean, it doesn't have to, per se, you don't want to pigeonhole Roy into it has to be an existing. To be an operator, obviously, you have to have certain skills and qualifications. Yeah, so if they meet those qualifications, then obviously that position holds a set, amount of pay to pay the employee to perform those skills. Right now, the reason why this became an issue is because we had other departments that did not have a policy like that. In some of our departments, you have mechanics. You have folks that, would like to have those opportunities. But the admin code doesn't specifically allow that. It's based off of time. And it's either or. If we do a countywide time, or we do a countywide, based off of what the third party capstone coming in and showing how we base it out based off of the level of experience. And each department is different in trying to put something in place to make sure that we pay a man for what he's worth and what our need is from those individuals to perform the services that we need to for the county. We're just trying to make it fair. And right now it's perceived that it's not fair.
Yeah, so I think my position would be, I mean, going forward, I don't know that I don't disagree as far as the time. I just want to make sure that, those premiums are still in place and that the folks that are there now are not, affected negatively for receiving those. And that's just where I don't know in the admin code, I don't remember seeing specifically premiums.
Roy, didn't you say you got two
know
people
what
that's
I mean?
gonna be directly affected by this? That's coming up.
I got two guys that will not reach their base pay until October.
But I think we just established that they would not be
So
affected.
would they or wouldn't they?
Well, what, the question would be, where do they fall in the admin code? What's their equivalent of where they are now as far as the admin code? Yeah, I mean, their position, I mean, if you've got what we have in the admin code, you know, did you pull that up?
Yeah, I have the whole admin code up, but here's the, I believe this is the proposed.
Yeah, so if you go down,
Correct, that's in there.
so if you go to, you know, staff 1 to 4, where do these individuals fall within the staff 1 or 4? So they're not even in the staff 1 or staff 4. And these employees are in their first year? So based off of that, they are outside, if I'm saying this right, they're outside staff 4.
All of our employees are outside staff four.
I guess my
they
concern
were
is
hired
where
in.
if they were hired on with maybe the understanding that they was gonna get to a certain level at a certain time, and then we're changing the rules in the middle of the ball game. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, this policy was in place, and yes, I can see where someone would see that. But the other side of the coin is you've got other employees who are in this category that are looking and saying,
Absolutely,
You know,
because
so
I
they-
argued for one
They're
not
not
too
the
long
only.
ago.
I know,
They're not
so-
the only department outside that, though. They're the only department that's done it on time.
yeah, and let's not chase a rabbit down a hole. We know that because when Capstone came in, that range had to be identified. Those that were already outside, we left them there because we didn't feel it was right to say, you know what, we're putting this new standard in place. You need to come down to the staff level 4. We didn't do that. Everybody that was below staff level 1, we brought up to staff level 1. The conflict was during that time, this policy was in place, and for the road department, they were not really affected by that. Now, when you put something in place, because we've already been there, when we put this in place, we knew that we had to try our best to be fair. So those that were above, we left them. There's no way that we're going to come in and tell an employee, we put a new policy in place, you're now going to be making less money than you did. We didn't do that. Those that were below, we brought them up to the lowest level. And the court approved that. They said that that's the fair way to do it. But this policy was out there, totally in conflict with this. And here we are. How do we deal with that policy? Because, you know, essentially you do a year, and that's all that it's requiring is a year. And based off of this, they're outside that staff level 4. And you know, it's not easy. I mean, you got to try to find something that is fair for our employees. And every department is different. You know, so that's why we put the premiums in place to where if you've got certifications, obviously operating heavy equipment, not all employees can do that. So there's certain skill sets that have to be acknowledged. And so that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to put a pay scale in place for our employees that's fair. Because you'll have others that are sitting there saying, well, hey, what about this over here, that fall under this? I think the one employee that we were talking about fell under a Class 1 based off of this, and was trying to go outside of the Class 4. Well, that admin code is our law. We can't do that based off that admin code. And then you start, having employees saying, well, you're doing it over here. How do we manage that? And that's where it was a fair question. How do we manage that? And so that's why this policy is, when you really look at it, it's based off of time. And to me, there are private sector, government sector, you can work, you do time, and you get a pay increase based off of time. And this is again, I'll stress, this is outside premiums. Premiums are different.
But I don't think anybody that's received a raise hasn't been deserving,
Well, that's not the,
you know?
that's not the issue.
Yeah, I understand.
That is not the issue. There's nothing
but-
about, when it comes to a pay raise, in this, what we're talking about, obviously, all the employees are out of a level 4. And the question is, it's been brought up from our own people. And so it's been brought to my
Roy,
office.
Does the policy work in your department? I mean,
As of now, yeah, we've not had any problems.
Okay, now that's not a fair question, because I can
I
ask,
think
I'm
it
looking
is.
at a director right now, and I can just say, okay, does it work? Does this work for that department? And they're
well,
going to say no.
I think it is a fair question. If it's working in this policy, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, Instead of, I understand what you're trying to get at, I really do. You want to be fair by everybody, and we need to be. But it's a hell of a mess we've been put in. It really is.
Well, it's not. One, you have to work, you have to look at this as far as whose money are we dealing with. Okay, I can sit across from, we can all sit across from it. We're dealing with the taxpayers' money. We can only pay an employee for the service that we are rendering. And we have to have a pay scale that is reasonable. And clearly, as a department, as a whole county operation, we've got one department that is above the staff level 4. This is our county law right here. Now, is this the one that's got the proposed increase? So if the court approves it, but the structure of it, we've got a class staff 4, that with the highest amount based off of this, 1941, all the employees, for the road department are above 1941. Are there some that would be, obviously an operator, I would think would have specific skills because they're dealing with heavy equipment and machinery. So that could be above a class 4. But somebody who gets hired and comes in as a low level, just like the gentleman that we had in the other department, that does not have those requirements, I mean, is that fair? That's what was brought to my office, and that's what's been brought to the court. And I think it's a legitimate question that we need to look at.
Would a Class A or a Class B license, is that like a premium?
I mean, obviously, to operate a specific vehicle, those classifications would bring a premium, yes. In my opinion. Not, I can't go jump in it and drive it. I wouldn't be legal on the road. And some of those employees that I know that we go out and we look for, if they have those classifications, then that's not costing us because the employee is bringing that to the table.
We try to hire them with the Class A.
Right.
We actually set that as one of our requirements. You cannot even fly without a Class A or a Class B.
Right.
I'll just throw this on out there. I support leaving the road department policy in place.
So there's a Class A, both of the employees, the only two employees that would be affected by this change are both have their Class A CDL.
Well, hang on
Right, or
a second.
no?
To be hired, they have to have the Class A. So they've already been
Okay.
hired, so they've already
you-
met that.
All right.
And they knew what the pay rate was. If the policy is changed, the time is only going to be the factor. And any future employees that get hired, the requirement's still going to be the same. You have to have a Class A or B. That's what we're targeting for. If it gets to the point where we have to hire an individual, and we can hire an individual and send them to get their certification. So that's always an option as well. But obviously, for the operations of the road department, you want to try to get folks who have already got that certification. Yeah.
Be scared, Kevin.
That-
He jumped like he was going
Why
to
don't we table this again? Because obviously, I don't think the court was prepared to approve or disapprove this as we discuss this. So, yeah. Is there a motion to table this?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll go on to item C, which is the ordinance 2021-05 Administrative Code, second reading. Is there any discussion on this? Other than we do have this in our budget, so. This is more or less just reflecting what we put in our budget.
It was just simply adding the 1.4%.
Correct.
Okay. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item D, the opioid litigation. I believe everybody got the lengthy email.
When was that? Like recently?
Yeah, Jason's gonna
Jason
update us
sent
on it.
Did?
There was a letter that was dated August the 6th, and I think it came out as an email, too.
Yeah, came as an email. It's several. It'd probably be easier just to have Jason update. It's 900 something pages.
Yeah, it's not something you want to read unless you're
No, I think I
suicidal,
did.
but-
Now that I think about it, I do remember going through that 900 page.
So anyway, to make it short, is that they're close to approving a new settlement plan. Our councils on this are very close to that. They haven't approved it yet, but the tenor of the email is basically for us as a public body, let's go ahead and vote today to approve it as long as they give the thumbs up. So you would be voting to approve the settlement subject to council's approval of the final plan. That's going to be done. Anticipate that approval coming from them before our next meeting. So that's the reason why I wanted to put it on for today.
Yeah, there is a time factor here.
And this is paid out over like 18 years or something like that, isn't that right? 17, 18 years.
Yeah, I think it's 18 years, and I think it applies to the one drug company.
Yeah.
And then there's obviously additional,
Yeah, because one of them was going to pay right off the top, right? Not do it in payments. Move we approve,
Second.
subject to
Council's
council's recommendations.
there was a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Move for a recess, Judge.
Sure.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. We'll go ahead and call court back to order. The item A on the new business, the grant agreement, this was sent to me yesterday afternoon. But they are trying to, and I printed off the email, I'll read this. They're trying to get, this is from the project manager, from the Kentucky Cabinet for Economic Development, Deborah Phillips. They're trying to get it on their agenda for August 26th, so that they can have their meeting. We were already approved, and if you remember, it has to go through like 3 layers to get the final, and this is one of those layers. So August 26th is when they're going to have their board meeting, the KEDFA board meeting. And the IDA and the Fiscal Court both received this grant agreement. And I've read through it. Basically, it looks fine as far as the language in it. It's standard language. The Southwest One Industrial Park Pad Ready Site Boulevard Extension. I want to go over the court, the roadway dense grade and earthwork, $165,482. The 12x6 aluminum box culvert, $155,000. And the pad ready site, 120,000 square foot with a $250,000. The total cost is $570,482. The KPDI grant award, which has got the language in here, is $285,241. And the local match by the Marshall County Fiscal Court is $285,241. And so that's the language that this cites. Cites those numbers. When you see the 285, 241, if we are fine with this agreement and we approve it, I will send this to the KEDFA for their 26th meeting. But if there's some discussion as far as that we want to go through this and review this as a whole, that's up to the court. But
Have you had a chance to look at this, Jason?
Yeah, we got it late yesterday afternoon. I was in court, so I have not had a chance to read it. I can probably guess about what it says. I mean, they're all pretty standard. It's all pretty standard stuff. You could do one, I guess, of a couple different ways. You could approve it today, subject to me looking at it, unless I see something that's just crazy. I would let you know. Or since we've got a meeting Tuesday, we could wait and put that on that agenda Tuesday, and let me have a chance to look at it. Thursday. Sorry.
Yeah,
Thursday.
Make sure that timeline.
Yeah, see the date.
I don't anticipate having anything.
I don't have a problem approving it, subject to you viewing it and approving it.
Is that a motion?
Yes.
Second.
Okay, so what was the motion? I'm sorry.
To approve it, subject to Jason viewing and approving it.
Okay. And there was a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And you did get a copy of it, Jason?
Yeah, I got
it. And that's, just looking at this email, obviously that is not the final step, so it's just trying to get that August 26th. I wish they would have got it to us sooner, but it is what it is. Item B, board appointment. The board members, well, I'll just read this. Dear Judge Neal, due to the resignation of Lisa Carter from Marshall County Public Library Board of Trustees, we hereby submit the following names of your consideration to fill in the vacancy. New term to expire October 24th, 2026. And Glenda Byers is who my appointment would be.
So
And
moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Speed limit on Flyway Drive.
I had a resident reach out to me, and this is in Eagle Lake subdivision across from the high school. When you go in, you can go to the right or go to the left. If you go to the right, that's Eagle Lake Drive, I believe I'm correct on that. There's 15-mile-an-hour speed limit on it, but there is no speed limit signage or speed limit on Flyway. So I'd like to make a motion. Is that required?
What we do is
For them to go out?
We'll have Roy and Eddie go out and look at it and then come back with a recommendation. And then we can have a first reading.
Need a motion for that or no?
Well, I guess you can make a motion to appoint them to go out and view it, come back with a recommendation on the speed limit.
Make a motion for Roy and Eddie to go out, view the road, and come back to the court with a recommendation for speed limit.
Second motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item D, municipal aid agreement and resolution. This is an agreement between the Commonwealth of Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, Department of Rural and Municipal Aid in Marshall County. We've been waiting for this. Oh, she's been every day. But basically, this is the agreement from the state, so that we can get started on the projects that we have for these monies. Is there any discussion on approving this?
I move we approve it.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Parks Department, new hire. Let me read this resolution. Fiscal Court of Marshall County resolution adopting and approving the execution of a rural secondary program agreement between the Fiscal Court, the Commonwealth of Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, Department of Rural and Municipal Aid, and accepting all roads and streets referred to therein as being a part of the county road system, be it resolved by the Fiscal Court that the Fiscal Court does hereby certify that all roads and streets referred in said agreement are county roads as defined in KRS 178-0110, subsection 1 and B, and the Fiscal Court does hereby ratify and adopt all statements, representations, warranties, covenants, and agreements contained in said agreement, and does hereby accept said agreement, and by such acceptance agrees to all the terms and conditions therein stated. And the county judge executive of the county is hereby authorized and directed to sign said agreement as set forth on behalf of the Fiscal Court of Marshall County, and the county clerk of Marshall County is hereby authorized and directed to certify thereto. Let's do a motion to approve this resolution.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Is that one of those that has places for everybody to sign?
It's got the county clerk, and then it's got the A's and the nays.
Okay.
The new hire, this is the Parks Department, Robin Connor, new hire, full-time, wage $12.14. Trying to look for a date immediately. Okay.
Move we approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item F, E911, new hire. This is Christy Anton, position title telecommunicator. It's a new hire, full-time, effective date August 30th, 21 at $13.70.
Move we approve.
Is there a
Second.
second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 911 new hire, Katie Malone, telecommunicator. This is a full-time new hire, August 30th, 21 at $13.70.
We approve.
Second.
There's a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll move on to item G, transfers. There's no transfers. Item H, bills and claims. Is there any reason to deny payment of the bills and claims? Hearing none, let the clerk record that the bills and claims are to be paid. Go to item I. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.